All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, host of the Brian Bailey Show, Hall of Famer, Double B, Brian Bailey. BB, how you doing, sir?
Good to be here. Thanks for having me, as always.
Good to have you here. Good to see you Saturday. Had a big event at Fifth Street Hardware, raising money for our friends to the west, and I was there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, steady crowd, looked like a good crowd all day.
I thought it was a great crowd all day and great musicians, all afternoon, great people. I've known Roger Perry for a long time and love him. Just had a great time. There's really nothing like doing something good for people and having fun at the same time and hanging out with your friends. And that's what we did all afternoon.
Awesome day there. Bailey, you are the most popular man. You were the most popular man before this weekend, but, man, your name was everywhere. So just to get that out there for people that want to know some facts, you are still the host of the Brian Bailey Show on Pirate Radio.
Certainly.
You are still the longtime sports director at WNCT Channel 9.
In fact, good news there. Just inked a new 3-year contract,
awesome.
So that's great news for me, especially. I love WNCT. I've always loved it, and I'm looking forward to 3 more great years, so that's good.
You will no longer be hosting the Coaches Show.
I can't comment on any of that, but that's.
But you still are at Pirate Radio, and you still are.
Still got plenty to do. That's for sure.
WNCT 9, sports director.
Yeah.
All right, just wanted to get that out there.
I appreciate that.
Everything else, right, is just rumors and stuff that will not be commented on by Brian Bailey.
It was a crazy weekend.
Hey, but I'll be talking about it. Just kidding, I won't either. Bailey, a crazy weekend in that regard, and a fun sports weekend. We'll pick it up, I guess, locally. East Carolina winning 1 baseball game out of 3 to Charlotte, and not what we wanted. Good to get out of there with 1 win on Sunday, but this team still has some growing to do here the latter part of the season, and I've kind of said that it excites me a little bit that we're going to have back against the wall. It's a different role for Cliff Godwin and his Pirates.
It certainly is, and usually they do well in that role, so I'm looking forward to that as well. But it's one of those things that you have a year like this every once in a while, and I think that they're looking at that. They had a great chance on Saturday to pull that one out of the fire. They got runners on, the line drive up the middle, double play, game's over. But still, they look like the Pirate baseball team on Sunday.
And we're going to be picking up on some positives we can cling on to as we go through this season. And I think yesterday Sean Jenkins was a major positive for the Pirates.
I thought so too, and I think he's so young that it's almost unfair to throw him in what they did throw him into. But he's got such great stuff, and I think that he's coming around, and I think he's going to be a really, really good player for years to come.
Since we last talked, Cliff showed some frustration last midweek after the loss to NC State, and I've been kind of wondering, how's Cliff doing going through this, and hopefully this is something he can find a positive out of and coach these guys up, because he's used to winning, and we're used to watching them win, and that's why it's frustrating to a lot of Pirate fans right now. But you can't win them all. You can't have a great team every year, and let's see how they get through this one.
Yeah, I think you have to play the whole season out, then look back at it. But I think that they have had their problems and their issues, and a lot of that may have to do with the youth. But I think that you have to grow up in a hurry, and if they can and put everything together going down the stretch, I think they've got a chance to have a good finish and see where they end up.
We'll talk to Shane Winkler coming up later on this week on the show. ECU softball having a pretty good year. They want to see their record be better. But Shane Winkler has a team that I think can make some noise once they get into conference tournament. It's going to be interesting conference tournaments for baseball and softball, because nothing will be decided at that point.
Yeah.
At large as it looks like at this point.
That's what it looks like right now, and that's odd, because usually East Carolina goes to Clearwater as the number 1 seed. They know they're going to be in the postseason somewhere. Maybe they're playing for a host role. Some years they weren't. They knew they weren't going to be hosting, but they were going to be in the field. But right now you're looking at teams, and everybody's going to be battling it out in Clearwater.
It's going to be surviving advance time.
Yeah, there you go.
Brian Bailey joining us. Got spring football going on. Great chat with Rodney Freeman on the Brian Bailey Show, talking East Carolina running backs and offense. And, interesting stuff going on out there. A lot of stuff we can't show people, as we've kind of talked about this a little bit. Apparently, teams out there are seeing East Carolina highlights on Pirate Radio pages and other pages, and and going after ECU players. What a different time we live in the sports world.
And it really stinks for everybody involved. I mean, we're gonna end up in the day where we're only allowed to show exercises, calisthenics to get ready and that kind of thing. And really, as a TV entity, as video, we want to see, maybe even see some drills, but now they're saying, hey, we can't even show drills because teams are looking at that and saying, hey, that guy's pretty athletic. Let's give him a call. What a world we live in. I mean, like I say, it's like the interstate with no state troopers. You can go as fast as you want.
And, man, look how that guy's stretching, though. Now you can't even show calisthenics.
Oh, I know, maybe.
That
guy's got rocks. I mean, he's a muscle guy. Look at that.
It is crazy, but that's the world we're living in right now, so we'll abide by that. But looking forward to the spring game and still enjoy the player interviews and talking to those guys. So we'll have plenty of coverage, but it won't be what it once was, and who knows? They might just have to go to closed practices. I think NC State went to that.
They
right?
did for the spring, yeah. And you hope that it doesn't come to that because, one of the great joys of August is getting out and doing the high school football practices. We usually go do a great job on the first day of practice for high school football. And then for East Carolina, just about, I know Pirate Radio gets them every practice. We don't get them quite every practice, but we try to pick and choose and get out there. And we do stories. And when we actually did a half-hour show last year previewing the season. So some of those things may not happen anymore.
Another new day in college football where we had our first, I guess, holdout. Nico at Tennessee said, I'm holding out for more money. Tennessee says, we're not going to give you that money, and he's going to go elsewhere. Bad part is for the whole thing, I mean, he'll probably get his money somewhere because somebody's going to pay him because somebody's got a rich fan out there who's ready to spend money. But that is what we're seeing right now in college athletics.
And it's mind-blowing, really. You think about it. And it's so unlike the real world. I mean, go to your boss today and say, I'm holding out for a 10% raise, and it doesn't happen. And maybe you can go somewhere else and get that, but it's not as easy as it looks. Now, it's easier in college football because you've got the Alabamas, the Georgias, the big-time programs that have that kind of money. But it's disheartening, really. I mean, gone are the days of I got a scholarship, I'm going to honor it, that kind of thing.
And I go back and forth on it because a coach has a contract, and a lot of those guys don't honor their. We need to go to some kind of contract.
Players need to have a contract, need to have a buyout as far as that goes. But again,
and I love the idea too. If you're in East Carolina and a bigger school comes and grabs one of your guys, you get in soccer, like in the Premier League, they call it a transfer fee. Not only do you negotiate a contract with the player, but you pay a fee to the team you're getting them from.
Yeah.
So if we could somehow benefit from that as a school, that would be fantastic. I don't know how they would work that into the contracts, but who knows? Maybe they will.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because every time we think, well, it can't get any worse, it gets a little worse.
Weirder. Yeah,
a little weirder, yeah.
Man, it just it continues to happen in college athletics. Brian Bailey joining me here inside the Pirate Radio studios. Cubbies playing pretty good. I see their record-wise. Bailey, you following baseball?
Lost steal for the season, though. That's a bad deal for the Cubs. I have been following it, and I tell you every year I'm going to be a better baseball fan. But we've got the 85-inch TV in the sports area right now, and we'll take the baseball package and put it on the 4 screens. And that's pretty cool because they bounce around and they bounce around the audio as well, and that's a lot of fun sometimes.
Saw Jeff Hoffman pick up a save and apparently blew a kiss to the Orioles dugout because they were talking about signing him and didn't, and he went to the Blue Jays and had a little chip on the shoulder moment there. So congratulations to Jeff Hoffman for shutting down the O's in the actually he got the win because he pitched in extra innings. So good win for the reliever. Jeff Hoffman. We got so many Pirates.
And it looks like Connor Norby's coming back. He's on a rehab assignment now, so that's good.
McCullough and Norby.
McCullough and Norby. That's great, man.
How about Treya Savage striking out Jacob Jenkins Coward this weekend?
Wow.
I mean, it's so cool to have all these Pirates sprinkled throughout.
And that's a reflection on Jeff Palumbo, Cliff Godwin, the staff. I mean, they recruit great players, and he's got to stay. I mean, like Carter. I always bring up Carter Cunningham, who stayed with the program. It wasn't easy.
Well, he entered the portal for about a day, right?
I think he did.
And popped back out.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, a guy like that has just flourished. I mean, he was great.
Carter Spivey was a guy that had a terrible start to his career, and I'm sure thought about quitting, going on elsewhere, and then turned into the conference pitcher of the year, and went to the Frontier League and is now with the Guardians. Danny Beal trying to make that same path for himself, so he'll be pitching for the Kinston team, Bailey. They announced last week, so good
Down
for
East
DB.
Bird Dogs.
The Down East Bird Dogs.
Love the logo. One of the logos.
The duck in the mouth.
Oh, my goodness. How great is that?
I wish they could have gone Kinston Bird Dogs, but
I think so, too, because I think if you're the city of Kinston and all that you've done for minor league baseball to keep professional baseball in that town, that team deserves – Kinston deserves to have that name, I think. But –
well, Bailey, another Masters and another year you weren't there. When are you going to get there?
I don't know. It's on the bucket list, but it's so difficult, and I'm hoping one of these years to sneak down. I was watching some videos about all the money people spend in the souvenir shop, and it's not really a shop, it's this huge tent. And I've been to those things like at the U.S. Open and stuff like that, but these people are spending thousands. I mean, if I go, I might buy a $40 cap, or if I'm really, really going to splurge, I might buy a $90 shirt. But that's about it.
Maybe something for the golf bag, a towel or
maybe something like that. Towel,
something like that, yeah.
A marker.
I guess that's why they keep the food prices so cheap, because people are spending money elsewhere.
Man, but they are spending some money.
And
they spent some money.
Last week I said the Masters was the most overrated sporting event.
Yeah, I heard that.
A lot of people coming after me. Part of that was a little bit just to get people riled up. I like doing that.
Yeah.
I will say this though, if to have an event that big with no cell phones in 2025,
wow, that's crazy.
That's I think the coolest thing to me.
Yeah,
honestly,
it is. And you see all the payphones lined up, and there's a whole generation that doesn't know what a payphone is.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, they have these banks of payphones. So if you have to make a call, you have to go away from But they have these banks of payphones. But we have a whole generation that has no idea what a payphone is.
That's a great point. When's the last time you saw like a booth on the road?
When's the last time you put a quarter in a payphone? I can't remember.
I think when I was in jail.
Yeah, it may have been. When I first came to Greenville, my apartment was King's Arms, which they've torn it down, and I think it's where the Province is now. But they across the street was a phone booth, and I'd walk across the street, put the money in, and call my mom and dad, just check in before I got my phone in at the apartment. Yeah.
Wow. That's I didn't even think of that. You got to communicate. And it also, it's like, why are these people staring at a leaderboard? Because they don't have a way to keep up with what's going on the other holes.
That's right. You're not watching your phone.
The only way is when they update the leaderboard and everybody goes, "Yay!"
That's exactly right.
It's pretty neat. Brian Bailey joining us. BB, what's going on in sports this week? We got Pirate Baseball.
We got Pirate Baseball coming up. Wilmington in town on Tuesday. I'll be out of town all week. I'm going to go home and see my mom and make sure everything's going all right with her.
Good.
And check in there. And then Melissa's birthday is on Thursday, my lovely wife. So she'll be 28, I think. How old she'll be a little older than that. But don't tell her I said that. But her birthday is on Thursday, so I'm coming back to celebrate with her and Bella. So that'll be good. And just looking forward. I'm going to sneak out to Raleigh today to go watch my grandson play baseball. So that's another secret. Don't tell anybody. I'm going to Chesapeake, Virginia via Raleigh. it's not exactly the way to get there, but I'm going to get there.
Good to see Melissa this weekend.
Yeah,
we
that was
talk
fun.
about the immature shows that we like that you won't watch.
Oh yeah, she watches.
Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah, she watches some shows, and I used to say like, hey, can we share the phone? I mean, share the TV in bed. But it began like it's become she watches what she wants to watch, and I put the phone on beside me. If I want to,
I watch a game or something.
I watched the Cubs last night and the Dodgers.
On a 2-inch TV.
I did on my phone. But I tell you what, you put your earbuds in, and it's the stereo sound is awesome. So the sound is great.
Well, I always say I listen to more Braves games than I watch, just kind of doing stuff around the house.
Oh,
just having that on at all times in the car, whatever. So, I like that MLB deal. All right, BB. Well, glad to have you here.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, as always.
We'll see you next time.
All right.